Gosh. Assalamu alaikum. Hi Oracle. Welcome to High Oracle. I'm just going to let a few more people come in and then we'll get started. Don't want that. Assalamu alaikum. Hi, Sadie Ellis. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your support. So we're about to get started, and you've seen the topic, and it was about starving, greed, sickness. So, if you are familiar with our ancestors that came from slavery, sometimes a lot of that energy can be passed on to us. And we have to know how to heal it. And I've been here in Alabama for a good part of a week and a half, 2 weeks now. And that's what I've been getting, the psychic attacks that were up on our people during slavery that have been passed on from generation to generation. The starvation that the slave masters inflicted on our people, that starvation will turn into an obese problem in our lives, and it can be passed on to generation to generation. It can have psychological effects on our people. Oh, really? Your dad was from Selma, Alabama. That's great. And Alabama is a great land. It's a great land, but it produced a lot of racism. Have to know how to heal that in our children. In my family, I had people who were obese in my family, and they would know at breakfast time they would make a whole spread. You would have fried chicken, grits, biscuits and gravy, cornbread. So we have to understand that it's a mindset, and we have to heal that. And again, I have given you some of the things that you will need already in my previous post on how to heal certain things. You will need to use castor oil to clean yourself out from that negative energy. It is to be sent back to the persons who have held our people in bondage and made them suffer in a way to starve them. So that energy has to go back. That's a return to sender. Cleaning yourself, using the lady's mantle to heal that trauma in your family so that, you can start working on that weight problem, start cleaning that out. You want to start, and that's with women and men, because I've known men who have had weight problems, obese, and they didn't know where it was coming from. And we have to be able to cleanse that energy, because we don't want that and that toxic energy to go into our next generation. We want to make sure that our kids are eating healthy, they're getting the right amount of food in their diet, so that we're not starving them, and we're not pretending that they are that you're overfeeding them so you can pretend that you're taking care of their mental health. So these are some of the things that the slave master would do. And I remember my mother telling me exactly, strokes, heart attacks, those are some of the diseases that came from being starved by the slave master. And I remember my mother telling me, um, early on in life, that when they were sharecroppers, that the slave master would take their food, their crops, and they didn't even have enough to eat. They couldn't even go to the town and buy anything. They had to really eat off the land, and they had to eat things like possum. And they were saying that some of my aunts almost starved to death because they were taking the food and the provisions from them during sharecropping. So these are what this is what we don't want to go back to, and I wanted to let you know that we can heal that in our people. And I wrote down, some of the things that I use for some of the people in my family when they came to me. Yes, that those were traumatizing times. I use licorice, and I did a shorter version. I'm gonna do a shorter version on this so that you guys can have this before it takes a minute for them to put these lives up. So I'm gonna do a shorter version on this so you can have the information. But I use licorice because licorice will get rid of some of the negative energy in the body that has been caused by the trauma, the mental trauma. And if it has been set up on you for a while, the malignant energy, the licorice will also run that negative energy out of your body. That's just like somebody feeding you something negative, black magic, voodoo. And that licorice is going to get that up out of you. I prescribe different rubs for people because you want to be able to cleanse yourself from the negative energy from the past. That negative energy may look like your parents, overfeeding you and feeding you things that were unhealthy, pork, cakes, and like I say, I have to check myself because I'll go and start baking them pies and making me some sweet potato pies, pecan pies, and it'll be over with. That's all I'll eat is coffee and sweet potato pies, or coffee and pecan pies. So we have to be very careful of that negative energy that we have picked up from our parents. We have to be able to tell our parents, especially when they're getting over in age, like my father, he's over in age. No, you can't have sweets all the time. And, he's real quick to tell me, him being older than me, I'm your dad. You're not my daddy. So you love making sweet potato pies too. I do too. And can't wait till I come off the road. I'm gonna make sweet potato pies and sell them. I'm gonna, probably do some recipes with you guys. But when I come off the road, and that's the only time I can do that. But a lot of times, my grandfather on my mother's side was a prize fighter, and for you guys, it's the equivalent of Mike Tyson in this day, only that they made you fight, in different people in different towns or whatnot, and they didn't pay you the way Mike Tyson is paid. So my grandfather was a prize fighter, and he was also in that time where they had baby boomers, they had a lot of kids, and they didn't have a lot of funds because the person that owned the land did not pay them. So that puts men and women in lack mentality. When a man cannot buy his family certain things, when he cannot provide for his family, that puts him in survival mode and a lack mentality, and we want to be able to break out of that negative energy because that sends the message to your children that, I got to be greedy. I got to take something from someone else. It puts your kids in a mentality that they have to steal, kill, and destroy something in order to have enough. And we should never be in that mentality. I wanted to make sure that who I love you too, uh, brother Sheikh Muhammad. But I just wanted to make sure that you understood where this mentality came from. It came from the slave masters. It came from your parents not wanting to leave that environment and teach the kids that, being a sharecropper, this is no life. It's going to kill you. You're not going to be able to have education. You're not going to be able to have a life. Everything that you have will belong to the sharecropper, the slave master. So these are some of the things, the diseases of the mind, the trauma that we have to fix. Ladies Mantle will address that. Ladies Mantle, my mother, my grandmother told me when I got to be about 6 or 7 years old that she would not let my seven aunts, my mother and my six aunts, which seven sisters, go work in the house for white people, because it ain't no telling what other people do in their houses with women. So we don't do that. We keep ourselves separated from those type of people who had the intentions, if they're going to, starve people to death, if they're going to take the money and not pay people wages, then what else will they do with our women, with our children? So we have to keep that separated and heal that trauma, that deep rooted trauma that's coming from our parents that accepted and integrated into that way. We have to really heal that. And I recommend using Ladies Mantle. Please use that tea. Please use it as regular as you can with any trauma bonding that you have had to a person, a place, a thing, a relationship, uh, SA, anything that you have been trauma bonded to, that will help to ease that pain and keep you from clinging to that negative energy. It will help you to move forward in life. So please always use Lady Channel. I use it for a lot of people that I do life coaching with who have been SA, men and women. I life coach. I'm a life coach for some of the men who have been SA by the Catholic Church or in church, or by family members who were told by the church to do certain things to young men. So these are some of the things that we have to go through and heal that from. And it doesn't matter who you talk to, you need to get that kind of negative out of you. You need to talk to somebody to let them know why you are holding these emotions, why you're obese. Did your parents carry over the slave mentality into your homes? So these are some of the things that we have to address as, this generation, in this generation, because we are the only ones that's carrying this torch with us into our future to heal this generation and to keep it from going into the next. So what I recommend to keep it from going into the next is to, first of all, watch what your kids eat. You don't want to give your children the pork, and sometimes we unknowingly give our children pork and don't even know that the diglycerides in most of the baked goods is pork. So please be careful with what you give your kids, because they are putting secret pork, oils inside your baked goods. And I'm very careful of that. I usually eat the Arnold's bread, but I used to eat, all kind of baked goods because I'm from the South. So I used to eat all kind of baked goods, but now I can't have any of that stuff. And I have to be very careful of what I eat. If I don't cook it myself, then I'm not buying it out the store. And I'm not buying it from fast food restaurants and all of that crap. It depends. If you haven't eaten pork for a very long time, Sadie Ellis, if you have been refraining from that and then you try to eat pork, it's going to make you sick. It's going to harm your system. And it's going to take a long time for you to get adjusted. You're going to have to clean yourself out once you eat pork if you haven't been eating it. So, one of the, some of the problems that we face as Black people, but from people that came from the children of the slaves, are heart attacks, diabetes, strokes, aneurysms, and it all stems from being overweight. It all stems, some of those negative energies come from the slave. They knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing when they were giving us the lesser part of the pig, the lesser foods, and we had to make do with what we had to do. That still stems from that lack mentality. That stems from, I want you to be in survivor mode because I don't want you to leave and I have to go and get somebody else to work this field. I want you to be my slave by any means necessary. So we have to make sure that we keep our kids in a way that they don't develop these diseases. Have if you've seen the movie The Clumps, and I really didn't like that movie, but it was true. Because when people are pretending that everything is all right, they emotionally become eaters and attached to things and people that look like them. If your mother was overweight, then 9 times out of 10 you're going to be overweight, because they felt like if they overfeed you, then that is the way that they were going to take care of you, because that's what they didn't have. And I totally understand it. And we can use the Four Thieves vinegar. I use Four Thieves vinegar because it's good for inside of the body and outside of the body. I use it to break habits and ties, to cleanse negative energy. So, and I make that with 7 different herbs, and I can make it with apple cider vinegar or white distilled vinegar. It doesn't matter what kind of vinegar. I usually like the apple cider vinegar because it's stronger than the white distilled vinegar. So, we want to always use the natural herbs and remedies. God put them here, especially in certain combinations that our ancestors have left behind within some of us, to detach from certain energy, to send that negative energy back to the people who sent it to them, who sent it upon us. I did the video the other day of the Nottoway plantation burning to the ground. And there is no telling. Oh, you would love to find a good Four Thieves vinegar recipe? Well, I can only send you, the finished product. I can't give you the Four Thieves vinegar recipe, but I will, I will let you people purchase my finished product. I keep it 7 days. I keep it 7 days after I've made it, in a place where nothing can disturb it. And I pray over it and make sure that I set the intentions over it to cleanse any negative energy. But we have to understand that our ancestors have left certain information with us so that we can cleanse ourselves of the negative energy. And we have to really reject some of the ways that our ancestors behaved, because they were setting up on each other and teaching each other bad habits. And we have to be willing to let that go. I remember going down south, when my mother was alive in 1986. And she, when I got there, people was like, you know, uh, she's not going to eat. And my mother said to me, oh, you have to, you can't be picky around these people. And they was like, you got to eat. And I'm like, I don't want to eat that. I just saw that hanging up in the barn, a piece of pig. So these are some of the things that we have to be careful of when we go in certain places, especially in the South. They feel like, well, it didn't kill nobody, and eating pork and all of these different things, and making the pie crust with the lard and pork fat. We have to be careful what we eat and give our families, because they are absolutely setting up on us the way that the slave masters set up on our ancestors, our parents. We have to be very careful. Yeah, I saw that 8 speed. I think that's 8 speed. Yeah, yeah, I saw that. How to Eat to Live, and I need to get that book. And when I come off the road, I'll be able to build my library again. But I'm here right now in Alabama. Tomorrow will be my last day in Alabama. I've healed a couple of people of the psychic attacks. I've given them the baths. I've set them on the right path in which they should go. To get that pork out of here. Get that pork out your kitchen. Get that fat back lard out the kitchen. But that's for another time. I'm thinking of going to Tennessee, North Carolina, and South Carolina over the next couple of weeks. And ultimately, I'm building my clientele in the north, and I think that that's where I will be settling at. And I did a whole video about that, and I'll release that tomorrow. You guys will get that tomorrow. But yeah, you want to do a egg cleanse. Thank you so much. You want to do an egg cleanse to remove that negative energy from you. And like I said, we have been given the symbols in the holy, and you can do an egg cleanse in circular motion, around your head to remove that negative energy off of you with the egg. I like to use brown eggs when I go to my clients. So we want to use the what God has given us to cleanse ourselves of that negative energy. And when you do that egg cleanse to remove the negative energy from being obese, from being gluttonous, from being greedy, a lot of times, you know, being obese and the negative energy sent from our master makes us greedy and toxic towards each other. So we want to remove that negative energy so that we can function in our families, so that we can function together. And you want to take that and you want to throw that in a direction away from you. You don't want to throw that in your backyard. Once you cleanse that negative energy, you can throw that wherever your slave master, or wherever that negative energy has come from, long as it's nowhere near you. So these are some of the things that we have to do to check ourselves from becoming obese and overweight, and it's going over into the next generation. A lot of times my mother, they would be stuck on certain things, and they would be traditional with certain things. They want to put pork and fat back, in the collard greens. They want to put pork and fat back in the beans. And me myself, I just like the taste of the beans the way that they are. A little salt, a little seasoning, a little onion, chopped onions. I'm good. So we have to be very careful about allowing the elders, especially if our kids are being raised around our parents, allowing our parents to feed our kids that crap. I remember growing up, every house that I went to in the South, they had a honey baked ham. They had one of them hams, and it had pineapples all over it, cherries, and all kind of crap, cinnamon on it. They was doing it big. They were doing it big. But when you know better, you do better. Everywhere that we go, we have to teach our kids, you're not going to eat that. We have to do that in the school system. We have to be a part of our kids' life if they're in school. I suggest that we take our kids out of school because it's going to be a problem, and they're going to set up on and attack our kids mentally and physically in the system. So I suggest that we take our kids out of the system. But definitely, we need to check the food that our kids they're eating, and whatever has been taught from our parents about eating, whatever has been taught from this system, we need to break that evil negative energy of what we eat, what we put in our body that the entity has given us. We need to be able to tell our kids that this being overweight, we're going outside to exercise. We're going to move around and exert our bodies so that we burn a lot of energy so that our metabolism stays in the right place. And we definitely want to cleanse our mind, body, and soul. So these are some of the things that I have given you, the cleanse. You can do a wash. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to me because there's other things you can do with the licorice to prevent the overweightness and to prevent the obesity and to send that negative energy back to where it came from. Send it back packing. We want to make sure that we want to dress ourselves in a way, address our habits, address our addictions, and overeating. Eating the wrong things is definitely an addiction. Putting the wrong things in our mouth is just as toxic as talking about somebody or backbiting somebody. So we want to make sure that we do not go against what God say that we can have. We want to make sure that, and this is the most important one of all, you guys. I want you to make sure that you're fasting on Mondays and Thursdays. Fast with me so that we can be in alignment with God. Our bodies can reset from the negative things that, this enemy has given us. And that was the only thing that they would give our parents to eat, are negative things that we have become addicted to. I seen somebody with Intamin's baked goods the other day when I was in the grocery store. And, we don't want to eat that because it has monodiglycerides in it. So it has, pork is made with the pork. We have to be very vigilant right now of the things that we are doing with our bodies. Fasting and praying is the best thing that you can do to get negative energy out of your body, to send negative energy back to the sender, to, have bowel movements regular. And when you're seeing your bowel move, you need to pay attention to your bowel movements. Because if your bowels are yellowish, that means that you're having a bowel movement of poison coming out of your system. Someone has sent the negative energy. It may be over generational curses. It may be a soul tie to someone, but someone has sent negative energy. If your bowels is coming out yellow or blackish, your bowel should be in the brownish color tint, and it should not be hard. That means that somebody has sent blockages to you. So we want to always make sure that we are keeping ourselves regular, fasting and praying. Our connection to God will help us to do that. It also helps our generation, our next generation, fasting and praying. When they see us doing the right thing, when our kids see us doing the right thing, then they fall in line with that. They don't become intertwined with these traditions of the world, of the school system, of their friends, and of family members who may be traditional, who may eat things traditional. They'll be able to tell grandma or grandpa, no, my mom, my dad won't let us eat that. I don't eat that. If it's pork on it, I don't eat bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches. So we want to make sure that we're strengthening our kids with the way that we eat, and we're cutting off the obesity right here. You guys can reach out to me at any time and book a session with me so that we can address the obesity in our communities. Book a session with me so that I can give you the natural herbs that's going to run that negative energy out of your body. We should be hooking up so that we can go walking. We can get on a live. We can get on Facebook Live or any kind of live, and we can go walking together and exercise together to get ourselves together. I have a rub that I do for people who struggle with weight problems, who struggle with this, entity, this addiction of food. I have a rub that will help you. It's a weight rub that you can use to remove negative energy that has set up on you for generations. That, your mother was overweight or your father was overweight and now you're overweight. And this address those generational curses and those addictions. So I hope that this has helped. I have my information in the description below. You can reach out to me at any time. If you just need to talk, you can just look on my website, get my number, and give me a call. If you're having problems, if you're not sure about certain things or situations, give me a call, and I'll be sure to I get make sure I tell you the best thing that you can do for your situation. I hope that this has helped. You can always leave a comment, like, and share, and subscribe. I hope you reach out to me and support me. I'm High Oracle Reiki Spiritual Healer. I'll see you guys later on my next live. Bye bye, guys. What does that say? You're welcome. When we fast, can we fast for 16? Oh, well, before I go, well, I'm going to answer your question. What I like to do is I like to fast. I get up early in the morning. So, whatever I need to do early in the morning, I get up early in the morning and I start my fast. When the sun come up, I don't eat anything from when the sun come up to when the sun goes down. So, that's the fast for the Muslims, and um, you might have to address your body, so that your body, Sadie Ellis, you might have to address your body for that kind of fast and get your body prepared for that kind of fast. But from sun up to sundown, I don't eat nothing from sun up to sundown when I fast, and that's on Mondays and Thursdays. And during Ramadan, it's for 30 days. So I hope that this has helped you. You guys can reach out to me at any time. I'm High Oracle, Reiki Spiritual Healer. Assalamu alaikum.